Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Nora. Today we are going to be making a basic bodice block or a body sloper that has two darts, the waist dart and the bust dart at the side of the bust, which is also called a French dart. And for this we are going to be needing the following tools: my measurements, a tape measure, an armhole curve, a French curve, a ruler, and of course my pattern paper and my marker pen. For these measurements, I've ruled out 2 inches as the starting point here and 1.5 inches just to have where to start from. I will also go ahead and put down all my vertical measurements. I suggest you watch the video on measurements, which I have put the link in the description below so as to see how to take measurements. So I've gone ahead and marked my vertical measurements. This represents my shoulders. This is my shoulder to bust point at 10.5 inches, shoulder to under bust at 14 inches, and shoulder to true waist or half length at 17 inches. I'm going to go ahead and rule through these lines and extend all these lines, and then you're going to see what it looks like. So I've gone ahead to extend all those horizontal vertical measurements. I've extended their lines. So I have here my shoulder. This is my shoulder to bust point, my shoulder to under the bust, my shoulder to true waist, and then my shoulder to hip line. I've extended all these lines. Next up, I'm going to be getting my bust span, which will form my dart line. My bust span is 8 inches. Bust span is my nipple to nipple, the distance between one nipple to the other. That's my bust span. For me, it's 8 inches. If I divide that by 2, it becomes 4 inches. So I mark 4 inches there. I'm going to be rolling through this 4-inch line from the bust point to the hip line. And then at the waistline, I'll be taking in a dart of ½ inch on either side. So I have a dart intake of 1 inch, ½ inch on this side, and ½ inch on this side. So I'll draw my dart legs. My dart leg starts 1 inch below my bust point, and ends 2 inches above my hip line. So this is the dart legs. Having done that, I'm going to be going up to my shoulder line. At this shoulder line, I'm going to be taking a standard neck width of 3 inches. That's like standard, the minimum for an adult. And then my shoulder measurement. My shoulder is 16. If I divide that by 2, it gives me 8. At that 8-inch point, I come down by 1 inch. This is to achieve a shoulder slope. Since the shoulders are not straight, they slope. So that's my shoulder slope there. After that shoulder slope, I need to put my chest line. Remember the formula for getting your chest line in my previous tutorial? Please check the previous tutorial to see how I got my chest line of 8 inches. So that's my chest line. I'll extend it. So for the neck design, you could do a neck width of 3 by 3 or 3 by 4. This is not the final neck design, but for the purpose of this pattern, I'm going to be doing a neck width of 3 by 3 for the front and 3 by 1 for the back. So the neck depth is 3 inches and the neck width is 3 inches for the front, for 1 inch depth at the back. So to do that, I could simply get the same 3 inches here and draw a square just to make it nice and to make the curve not too wide. So I can freehand this, or I use my French curve and get a simply smooth curve for the front and another higher curve for the back. So this represents my back neckline. At the back, I have a zipper allowance here. For the front, this zipper allowance will not count. All measurements of the front start here. So I extend this for the back. Now I'll go ahead to shape my armhole. The midpoint of my armhole is 4 inches. At the front armhole, I'm going to be coming in by 3/4 of an inch. This is because the front armhole is a lot more shallow, a lot more deeper than the back. The back armhole is not as deep, it's shallow, but the front armhole is deeper. So I'm going to be connecting this. And then I'll use my French curve to get a nice armhole there. Now at the chest line, I'll proceed to take my bust measurement. 1/4 of my bust is 9.5 inches. My bust circumference is 38 inches. 1/4 of that is 9.5 inches. Remember, measurements around the body are divided into 4, while measurements that go along the body, like the shoulder, are divided into 2. So I have 9.5 inches there. I'll proceed to go to my waistline. At my waistline, my waist measurement is 34 inches. 1/4 of that is 8.5 inches. I mark that there also. I'll proceed to go to my hip. 1/4 of my hip is 46 inches. 1/4 of that is 11.5 inch. So I mark my 11.5 inch there. I'm going to connect all these lines. Sorry, I forgot to say that since I took a dart intake of 1 inch out here, I'm going to have to pay back that 1 inch here and connect the line. So this is my pattern. For the back armhole, I'll simply just give a nice straight curve there, since the back armhole is shallow. While the front, I went in by 3/4 of an inch. Now the next thing is to get the side bust dart, or the French dart. To do that, I'm going to divide the distance between my chest line and my waistline into 2. So the distance between this line is about 4 inches and 1/8. I mark that there. At that point, I'm going to get 1/2 inch on either side, 1/2 inch this way and 1/2 inch that way. I proceed to draw a straight line from this midpoint to my bust point, and then these are my dart legs. My dart legs are going to stop 1 inch away from my bust point. So this is where my dart legs will stop. So this is my side bust dart. The dart leg stops there. And then since I have taken out something here, by the time I fold it in, it's going to be short. So to account for that shortage, I'll have to come up a bit here by about 1/2 inch. So that way, by the time I fold, I'm not going to have a shortage. Now remember, I've taken out 1 inch of dart here. If I do not pay back this 1 inch of dart, by the time I join the front and back pieces together, I'm going to be short with 1 inch. So to pay back that 1 inch so that the side length will be the same, I have to come down here by 1 inch at the side front. I come down by this 1 inch that I've taken out. I'll come down here and then gradually curve my hand in like that. Having done that, I have successfully paid back the 1 inch of that allowance. So I'm going to be cutting now. I'll cut the back first of all, this way, with the normal side length measurement, this way, and then I'll add the zip allowance at the back. Then I'll proceed to cut the front without the zip allowance, and then with a more curvy armhole, and then with all of this. Now at the back, it's important to take in a dart even at the zip allowance. So I'm going to take in a dart of 1/2 inch here, which I'll pay back when I'm adding allowance on the fabric. This way the back is not going to protrude. The back will relax nicely. So I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch. Sorry, this is at the waistline. I come in by 1/2 inch here. So you make it smooth. So this is my zip allowance for the back. I've come in by 1/2 inch, taken in a dart at 1/2 inch at the back, in addition to this dart. That way the back will not protrude. So I'm going to cut the back first and show you what it looks like, and go ahead and cut the front. So I've gone ahead to trace out the back from the front using the shallow armhole, the raised neckline, my zipper allowance, and of course the desired hem here. Remember, in the front I came down by 1 inch at this side. At the back I do not need that because I do not have bust at the back. I also omitted this bust line because of course the back does not have a bust. So I've also put in my zipper allowance. In the front, I've gone ahead to cut out the deeper neckline, and I'm going to go ahead now and cut out the more curvy armhole here in the front. So this is my front, which will be cut on fold, my front sloper, which will cut on fold, and this is the back. I'm going to cut 2 of these. So this is how to make a sloper that has both the waist and the bust dart. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share.